Hello. I suppose what I'll say up front is I really am honestly quite shell shocked. It's ridiculous and it's naive, but just given how, the result and the performance at Anfield went, the result and the performance against Atletico went, the overwhelming fan sentiment, positive fan sentiment this week, topped off with the bus welcome today. I didn't even factor in. Honestly, I didn't even factor in that Forest would win. I think it's not that I didn't think they'd be able to or anything like that, but my point is that I think I just pushed it out. I pushed it out because I wanted to completely believe. I wanted to lose myself to the posse vibes and all that stuff. And I'm quite shell shocked. I really am quite shell shocked about that result. I don't really have, honestly speaking, and I mean this in a Tottenham sense, I don't really have the emotional capacity to be increasingly wound up and increasingly upset about it. I'm not saying I'm not, but the point is like, I can't force this and be unhappy about it constantly because I don't think it's healthy. I've already spoken on here before about the people that will say, don't be so ridiculous, it's football, it's not real life. It is real life. It's very affecting for Tottenham fans. Any other football fan in this sort of position, it's affecting for. It's not just something for Tottenham fans. Don't get me wrong. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the point I'm trying to make is like, look, maybe it's genuinely, maybe it's like my brain somehow or another putting in some sort of safety net for me, but I'm just sort of quite numb to that. I am largely shell shocked, like I say, and I say that, come on. Right. I just feel quite numb to it, and it's really quite mad. Now, what I will say, and this isn't happy clapping, this isn't anything. The one thing I will say at this point to cling on to, and this is the one thing, I'm not even trying to be positive. I'm not trying to take away from the bad feelings that anybody has about that game or the worries they have about relegation or anything. The only thing that I will say that you can try to cling on to is that had we won this game, had we won today, we would not be safe. It wouldn't have been job done had we won today. And it's not job done for Nottingham Forest. It's not game over now. I said in the pre-match preview, I echoed like what Igor Tudor was saying, which is in this sort of situation, you have to take each game as it comes. Great. If we had won today, don't get me wrong, if we'd have won today, it would have been lovely. Going into an international break, 4 points clear of everyone, or whatever, I don't even know anymore. A number of points clear of the teams around us. I think we would have moved up to like 15th. I think we would have even leapfrogged Leeds. But you still wouldn't have been able to take your foot off the gas and all that type of thing. So the same rules apply, The same rules apply. If we'd have won today, we'd be one step closer, but it would have been on to the next. Great, we've won, move on to the next. With this one, annoying, we've lost, on to the next. We have to put full focus and full energy into the next game. That's the constant. That is the constant. That doesn't change. So that's the one thing. That's the one thing we can all, if you choose to, cling on to stop yourself from spiraling if you want to. That's all I can say at this point. I'm not here to tell you how to feel. I don't even have a full check on how I feel, to be honest. I just feel, yeah, it's terrible. You know, the fans have gone the extra mile. They've obviously rallied behind the team all week. They've turned out in their thousands to welcome the players. And, you know, that's what they got in return today. And I don't mean that to attack the players. I'm talking about this in an overall sense. That's what the footballing gods gave us. There are certain things I would complain about. Look, we conceded 3 goals, and that is on us to concede that many goals. And to, you know, the changes that Igor Tudor made at halftime, highly dubious, to say the least. I mean, we weren't even in the second half. From controlling and really completely dominating the first half, we did nothing in the second half. And that's, to me, that's on Tudor. That's on the changes that he made that I can't really fathom it. I can't really fathom. Maybe he felt that the midfield was, you know, getting overrun by Nottingham Forest's quite combative midfield, that bringing in Xavi Simons, you know, with his, say, you know, the question marks over his physicality in the Premier League. Maybe he felt that wasn't the right option, but, you know, I didn't really get the Bergvall thing. The lad doesn't look fully fit, which, you know, I would imagine he's not fully fit. You know, he's missed a significant chunk of the season with an injury, so that makes it make even less sense. But there are still things I would like to moan about. There are things that I take umbrage with. The foul on Archie Gray. The foul on Archie Gray was. It's worse than Romero's on Casemiro at Old Trafford. It was worse than that. It was rash. It was high. And it was uncontrolled. He wasn't going for the ball. It's an orange card at least, but it's probably a red card. Nothing. Get nothing for it. The sort of double, well, Sarr got brought down, penalty. Soft, but penalty. And the thing is, when you say this stuff, people say, that's never a penalty, that's soft. It's like, I'm not really giving my own personal opinion on whether I think that constitutes, you know, enough physical contact or whatever to be a penalty. I'm going by the rules that seem to be enforced 90% of the time in the Premier League now. It's a penalty. Romero getting pulled down in the box from behind. No attempt to play the ball, all attempt to play the man. People can say it's soft. People can say he went down in a particular way. He tried to salve a penalty and that ruined it. Whatever. It's a penalty. I've seen them given. It's a penalty. Then seconds later, the follow through on Richarlison. Richarlison absolutely cleaned out. No attempt to play the ball. Forest player comes in from behind him. Absolutely cleans him out in the box. It's a penalty. You know? And it seems to be every single week we get one of these. And I hate being one of those fans that does the whole, we didn't get the decisions go our way and that's why we're in this mess. Because I don't feel that. I feel there's enough accountability that you can lay on Spurs' doorstep for the way we handled the second half and everything. Fine. But again, you have to question, how does the game turn out if, again, another pivotal decision goes our way? And I don't want to consciously feel this way, but it does make me feel a bit tinfoil hat. It makes me feel a bit tinfoil hat. It makes me feel, and I'm just saying this like maybe in the heat of the moment, and yet maybe it's the sort of thing I reflect upon and it doesn't seem that rational or anything, but it feels crooked. It feels dodgy. It feels dodgy that nearly every single week now we get big pivotal decisions just not go our way. And the thing about Romero, so let's take it less from an Alex Jones side of things, right? Let's take the tinfoil hat off and let's explore this more through the rational confirmation bias type vein of form. Romero is a player that is basically the villain of the media. He's the villain for officials. He's the villain of Gary Neville and Sky Sports' narrative. And there's a significant amount of confirmation bias there that he's a dirty RG. So anytime he tackles somebody, it's a foul or it's a card. And also he's a diving RG and he plays up to this and that. And, he's just a general kind of dark artsman. So we're not going to give him anything. Because there was a moment again later on when he was, marauding or trying his best to maraud into Forest's half. And it's a fairly minor kind of instance, but what I'm saying is there's a moment where he sort of got possession in there outside their box. He was dwelling, didn't really know what to do because he was, a fish out of water in that part of the pitch. Forest was sort of surrounding him, didn't really know what to do, and then again, Forest player comes in, cleans him out from behind. No attempt to play the ball, and he sort of fell over the ball as well a bit. Half, I'd sort of give you that. But still, again, it's the type of routine challenge outside the box that you often see given, really oddly reminiscent of the foul that Liverpool got for Szoboszlai's free kick last week. That type of thing where you're like, this is 50-50, whatever. But again, we just don't get that. Romero just doesn't get that. Even in those kind of micro instances, we just don't get things go our way. And it's really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating and it's really deflating because, we're bad. We're bad, I want to be positive. I want to stay behind the players. I don't think this one bad result means that the all together, always stuff should just be binned. Go and get the ENIC out banners, Don't think it should be binned. Think we've got to hold on to that to the end of the season. Think we've got to get behind these players. Like I say, had we won today, work hasn't stopped. We've lost today, work hasn't stopped. That's it. It's just harder work now. But either way, it's hard work. Either way it was. We have to get behind these players. The time for recriminations, the time for diving into who did what, when, and where, we save that for summer. I don't want to sit here and say this player did that player did this. I don't even want to sit here. I've criticised him, but I don't even want to sit here and say, get rid of Tudor, do this, do that, big rash takes, all that type of thing, because there's every chance that he is still our gaffer after the international break. So what good does it do to have a big paddy about it, to say this player needs to go, that player needs to go, we can't start this player, we can't play that guy in that position, because I think we've had enough of a sample size now of this team, of these players, to know that they don't like pressure. They don't like these moments when all eyes are on them and they're expected to deliver, because more often than not, they fail. But they didn't in Bilbao, They did have Sonny on side at that point, but they didn't do it in Bilbao. But more often than not, when they're expected to turn up, they don't. Now, if that's a bad culture, if that's mental fragility, whatever it is, we are not going to help that by getting on their backs at this point in time. If we want Tottenham Hotspur Football Club to stay up, we have to stay behind them. We have to stay behind them. We have to support them. And, I can't sit here and call them all useless and whatever, because What purpose does that serve? Makes me feel better for a second to rant and rave about people, but it's not going to be good. It's not going to give me a pleasant evening. It's not going to give me a pleasant week. International break, you know? Skull. Oh, man. Just starting to feel like quite broken by all this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's mad, isn't it? Anon Nomad says the high street turnout was absolutely glorious and a real marker of pride for the supporters. Can we just talk about that for an hour? Yeah. Amazing, fantastic. Some of the stuff I've seen, and look, I'm not talking about this stuff from oh, I'm in this club and I know this and that, and because it's against the whole antithesis of this movement. I've been invited into a WhatsApp group because I've got a few followers on Twitter. It allows me to amplify the message. That's it. It's not that I'm special. It's not anything like that, right? That's the point I want to say. But just being in the group, seeing how hard a lot of people are working behind the scenes and what they're doing is a great source of pride and very inspirational for what people, you know, for the club and for the fan base. For the attacks that have been on this fan base constantly from our own managers, from the press, all of it, right? I think it's a great source of pride. And what was achieved today, what was achieved across this entire week is brilliant, is amazing. Had Stu and Jay on the pods in the week. It was great chatting to them, great speaking to them about, you know, what they've been doing, the fact they've been in constant communication with the club, the avenues that have been opened up there for however this season pans out. When we're looking ahead to the future and we're looking at the continued relationship between the club and its fans and its supporters, a lot of good has happened over this past week. You know, I would say we've come from an environment where you've had people like Daniel Levy, people like Donna Cullen, who have been openly hostile to the fan base for many years, who have had outright disdain for fans and for football fan culture. And I feel that there is at least an appetite at the club. In my limited outside understanding from what I've heard other people saying, there is an understanding that things need to change on that front. You know? And it's, yes, it's sad that it's taken this. It's taken something as drastically bad as this season for that realization to happen. It's taken something drastically as grim as the realization that you're going to have a championship stadium to fill, potentially, next season, right? Even with all these bad things happening, there's at least something in there where you can say, well, the right people were in the right place to ask the questions, to work hard to capitalize on the opportunities that the club and whoever have afforded them, Met Police and so on and so forth, that they've coordinated with organic fan movements, and something like today has been possible. And the result on the pitch is obviously not what anybody would have wanted, but it doesn't take away from the hard work, the vision, and just the general spirit behind everything that has happened this week. You know, it's yeah, it's truly inspiring and it's great. And you know, hopefully, you know, in the times to come, we'll be talking about this as the start of something very special. I've heard for years many people say, look at the Kop, look at Anfield, look at all those different flags and banners that are brought in, look at that kind of that spirit that is there on those special occasions at stadiums like that. Why is that lacking at this new ground? Why have we not managed to carry that over from White Hart Lane? And that's because that element of our fan base was relentlessly attacked by Daniel Levy and by Donna Cullen and by people around them. They wanted to absolutely stamp that out, or at least thought of it as a second, third, fourth afterthought. Sticking corporate seats in the wall of noise, in the white wall, that type of stuff. Selling the package deal, hotel, bus trip, whatever, tourist package, sitting them next to the away fans. All these sorts of absurd, commercially led decisions that the club has made for a long time. Hopefully, they will have started to see the error of their ways. Because, look, I'm sure if we were all asked in an ideal world, would we want the owners out? Do we want somebody else to buy us? Have another roll of the dice, see what happens? Yeah, I'm sure most people would vote yes to that. But the reality is we have very little control over that. And I'm not saying don't protest. I'm not saying don't feel that way. I'm not trying to invalidate anybody's feelings or anything. The only point I'm trying to make is we have next to no control whatsoever over a deal the size of this. That's a really poor way of saying it, but the amount of money and the complications involved in buying a club like Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, it would be, it's unfathomable. And the point I'm trying to drive at is ENIC might be our owners for a very long time. The Lewis family. They literally might not go anywhere. There's this sort of sense that, or there's a half idea that if we go down, that'll force them into selling. Not necessarily. I think a championship club becomes a much less appealing prospect, especially a championship club where they probably wouldn't drop the price anyway. Again, there's this idea that going down would scrub X amount of money from the valuation of the club. Yeah, in an outside sense it would, but it wouldn't scrub money from what ENIC wanted from their internal valuation. It's a bit of a pickle. It's a bit of a pickle. And it always raises that question, what is our job to do as fans? There can be protests and stuff. Everybody has the right to protest. And I don't think that's a bad thing to do. But, fan bases, football supporters, and this is I could go on about this sort of stuff for a long time. I'll scratch on the tip of it now, but especially in the UK, this is all viewed through an inherently classist lens. The way in which football fans are policed, the way in which they're spoken about, is always an inherently classist proposition, right? And what comes often with classism is this sense of low expectations, is this sense that people are stupid, they're all dimwits, they're all knuckle draggers. But I think the fan base has shown, has it not? We're having one of the most dire seasons we've ever had in modern history anyway. No, literally ever had. I think I saw that we were on the worst run of form since 1914 or something genuinely something mad. I mean, that was around the time of the First World War, wasn't it? So probably not then, but literally some of the worst form we've ever been in. Today was supposed to be a massive protest, but what did the fans do? They put aside their egos. They don't like the owners. They wanted to protest against them. But what did they do? They reached out to them. They worked with them. They worked hand in hand with them. How can we help you as supporters? What can we do? We can mobilize. We can get people here. We can get people behind this. You lot don't deserve it, but we can do that because we love this club. And we are willing to shelve our own egos. We're willing to shelve our convictions and what have you for the greater good. The greater good being Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. This thing that binds us all. And that's something that, you know, as Anon Nomad says at the top here, that's something we should be proud of and something that, you know, look, whatever anyone says, whatever happens this season, fans did their part, you know? So the likes of Fletch and whoever else on their BBC podcasts that want to sit around and glibly have a giggle and again go in on the fans, the Ali McCoists of the world, the Gary Nevilles, the Jamie Carragers, all of them who cast their aspersions and talk about the supporters of this football club in the way that they do. You know, bun them. Big Y says, I'm not even angry. I'm genuinely heartbroken. My grass is blue says, we're done. Championship bound. Simple as. I hope not, mate. You know, but it ain't looking good, is it? Antonio Sanessa says, last 30 first half good. My stream was Bulgarian, so no idea if any injuries, but Tudor panicked at halftime. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Was Mickey injured? Did they have a falling out? It feels quite significant to take off Mickey van der Ven, is why I speculate entirely about that, but who knows? Speculation is probably not that helpful right now. And I've had my fill of saying stuff about Mickey van der Ven or whatever, so I'll just stop. James Reed says, what options do we have left? We change manager with no impact. Fans step up, there's no impact. It just seems destined to happen now. Danny Hollingsworth also says, not even angry, just feel really, really sad. Cleo Westerfield says, so much for the parade. Deuces Wild says, Gray and Tell, the only ones with any semblance of dignity coming out of that one. What Thomas Frank was thinking all season with his treatment of Mathis Tell is unfathomable to me. And I know that people have their criticisms of Mathis Tell. I do too. I don't think he's beyond criticism. I don't think he's utterly exemplary in everything that he does. But what he is exemplary in is showing courage, showing a hell of a lot of fight. And actually, you know, it's not just that sort of stuff. It's not just the kind of the whiffy platitudes and stuff. It's in a real sense that he is good. Like, as simple as that. Like, you know, I love a waffling soliloquy and stuff, but he's really good. I think he's a handful for opposition defenders. And I think if he keeps given the opportunity, he's going to score an absolute banger as well. I think he's going to. I was talking to my mate Ben about that as the game was going on. He's getting closer and closer to scoring like a proper screamer. But I just think a really talented kid. I have no idea. I couldn't begin to tell you what Thomas Frank was thinking. I just think he has done an awful lot of damage to this team, to this football club. And it's not all on him. But I think that man is, he should never show his face at our football club again. I would hate to ever see him in the stands or to ever be welcomed back, because I don't think he was malicious. I don't think he was particularly malevolent at all, really. But he just really represents a terrible period for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And I think he fanned the flames of something truly catastrophic for us. Zorba the Greek says, proud of the fans today. They lived up to their promises. Yep. Chris Jones says, I didn't really consider the possibility that we'd lose. Entirely, mate. Entirely. Bennis says, I'm just sad, man. Wishing the best outside of this club for yourself and those watching. Yeah. I mean this sincerely. I mean this. I don't want to be too mawkish about this. I don't want to be too cynical about this type of thing. But, I do, at times like this, I feel particularly blessed, and I feel very lucky that I have a very happy life, a lovely family, and, things are going relatively well for me, right? As a person. Because this is hitting me hard. Spurs being this bad is horrible. And I've seen just anecdotally, I've seen quite a few people just on Twitter, people I don't really know and stuff, pretty much saying that, like, Spurs is one of the few things I have in my life. And being this bad is really damaging for me. It's really horrible. And again, it's one of those things that people will say, there's bigger things in football and all that, but it's a huge thing for a lot of people. And, if you do feel that, if it is, if this is overwhelming, if you're in a place that isn't good as a result of this, and I don't think we should just be flippant about this type of thing, like mental health and stuff. Yeah, I know it's one of those things that's commodified by all the brands and all that type of thing. Talk to your mates, talk to your mates, and that'll make everything all right. And buy our product. I hate all that shit. I rally against all that stuff quietly. Maybe I don't speak out about it enough, because who can be asked, stick to the football, mate. But in a real sense, mental health is serious business. And, if this is getting to you, if this is getting to you a lot, just hold on, the sun will rise tomorrow, and, one day Spurs might not be so terrible, or maybe we'll always be terrible, but they'll always, hopefully, be there in some way, shape or form. And you look at stuff like today, the fans, the way in which they've mobilised, it transcends all the crap that's going on the pitch to a degree, There's a sense of pride, a sense of familiarity, and just, kinship that you can find from that. And I hope you can find that. And I'm sort of mumbling my way through this, because it's sort of awkward and, what is it? It's like sincere millennial slop, isn't it? It's that sort of thing that people go on about. But what can I help? What can I say? Our generation was raised on stuff like Scrubs and things. So, is what it is, isn't it? Jack Underhill says, I missed the game, maybe for the best. Was this a Tudor or player issue today? It's hard to know, mate, but I my gut, honestly, if I'm pointing a trotter, I think Tudor got it very wrong today. Tudor, I don't know. We don't know what happened at halftime, but from the outside, all we can say is that, you know, Tudor panicked or got it wrong, you know, and that's kind of the way it's gone. Andy Perry says hello. Thanks for tuning in, mate, as ever. Much love to you, pal. Actually, I went for a walk in the Alice Holt Forest this morning. Andy is somebody I bumped into on the outskirts of London. There's something called the Alice Holt Forest. Lovely place to visit if you want to go for like a nice walk, visit with the family. And I bumped into Andy there, and yeah, I visited again this morning to make the most of the sunshine, mate. So all the best to you. JRC says, unfortunately, this was a very Spursy outcome. Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know, mate. Like, what does that word even mean anymore, you know? Mr. Wignall says, it makes it easier to stomach if you reconcile yourself with the knowledge that we deserve this. We're run like a Sunday league club. Who does or doesn't deserve anything, mate? I don't know. I know what you mean, though. There's plenty of, of things that are annoying about the ownership and the way the club matters to do with the club have been handled over the past few years. So, does anyone deserve anything? You know, we're getting a bit philosophical here, but, a bit of whiskey on a Sunday will do that to you, won't it? Sorba the Greek also says Morgan Gibbs-White's goal was a very predictable plot twist. Yeah. Chozo Bozo says, genuinely can't believe what I've just watched. Feel sorry for everyone that put effort into the pre-match gathering only to be served up that. Must be a gutting feeling. Feel for everyone. We move. Isle of Lily White says, that was like watching every death scene in the movie The Iron Claw. Oh, my God, man. Honestly, what a miserable... It's a good film, you know? It's a good film, but honestly, don't watch it tonight. Don't watch it tonight. That's what I say. Back to back over and over again for 90 minutes. I'm genuinely dead inside. Well, how's the Carabao Cup going, by the way? I'm just saying 0-0 still, 33 minutes in. Right. Everyone's favourite. Here we go. Say the line, Jack. Ricochet Pig says, players have betrayed the fan base, but Tudor needs to go right now. Would understand a couple of games to find a system, but it's constant tinkering and shapeless chaos. Eris 7000X says, disaster. It's not over yet, but it feels like it is. We need to go again. We need to try and stay together as fans. The players need to step up. Where's that experience? Is it RuPaul's Drag Race, the step your pussy up stuff? That's what we need to do. Step our collective pussy up. I don't like saying that word. Like it feels it's a strange word for an English person to say. That's what I would say. Because the word pussy here is too linked to grannies talking about cats. Oh, what a delightful little pussy, you know? And you'd sort of sit there like, who she said? Yeah. Oh, I would like to stroke that little pussy, you know? That's what it's wrapped up in. It's a weird thing, right? It's a weird thing. The only times you hear pussy in the UK is in pornography, American pornography, or grandmas. So it's a strange contrast, that one. What the hell am I going on about? This is going to get demonetized, isn't it? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm not going to be able to pay the bills this month, kids. Oh, no. It's the only reason I do this, isn't it? Melt podcaster, trying to siphon money out of the club, trying to siphon money out of our demise. That's what I'm here. I love it. It's great. It's brilliant. Wonderful. Bring it on. Bring it on. YouTube might give me £18 this month instead of 13. I'm rolling in it now. I'm rolling in it now, boys. MT Amarit says, I don't think Tudor is the problem. I don't think a new manager can fix us. But what choice do we have? We have to try something, right? Give it Mace. If we are trying a new manager, give it Mace. Mr. Steven Stotch says, fucking shambles. Oops, whoopsie. The players don't care. And they're showing it. Get Tudor gone. Try something else. Ratchet Rabbit says, only Tottenham would show up to that kind of support and drop an all-time stinker. I'm shocked. Grammar Smosh says, never seen a group of more cowardly, mentally fragile players in all my years. Look, come on, that's not very altogether always, is it? Said in very Jez from Peep Show tones. Steve JP says, the players who leave in the summer after getting us relegated will set a new standard by which to measure infamy. Oh, what a delightful... I've got to say, Steve JP, 23, what a delightful way you've packaged that up. Are you a writer, sir, or are you like a copywriter or something? Are you an editor? That's a really nice way of packaging that up. I loved it. Very... there was a caramel note to that. Stubby55 says, that was beyond bad. When fans build the atmosphere to witness that, insane. Changing the manager one more time is our only hope. But those players showed absolutely nothing today. Archie Gray did. Mathis Tell did. I'll say that. I'll say that. I will put my neck out and say that. MJBTHFC 1991 says, I can't believe what I've just watched. Maybe I should have done, but I had some optimism. Maybe I shouldn't have done, but I had some optimism for this one. Where do we go from here? Desperate. I know what I Live Lily White here says, I genuinely feel like a part of me is gone forever. How can I trust this team ever again? I sort of know what you mean, mate. But it's not, to me, I think you're a bit younger than me, I really white, right? I think you're a bit younger than me. And when you get to my wise old age, no, the point I'm trying to make is, right, having seen Spurs be utterly abysmal, but not as bad as this, I can't really keep saying this anymore, but having grown up when Spurs were around net as bad as this, right? For most of my life growing up, right? All my life basically surrounded by Chelsea fans, few Arsenal fans, loads of Man United fans, all that type of thing, right? Spurs are always crap. We were sort of crap to the point, though, where it wasn't Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. It wasn't Spursy. It wasn't us being talked about on Sky Sports. We were bad, and we were irrelevant. We were totally irrelevant. So there was a level of anonymity to it, to a degree. Sure, you spoke to a Chelsea fan or something, you said you were Tottenham, they'd call you a Y, see you next Tuesday, or something like that, as charming as they are. And you'd hear about it, right? You'd hear about how bad Tottenham are and all that type of thing. But there wasn't this overwhelming kind of pressure on our every single move, And then we suddenly got good. Martin Yole came along. To be fair, a young Daniel Levy came along, and we started to get quite good. We started to get quite decent. A core of good, strong, young English players, and suddenly we started to look all right. We started to actually punch way above our weight, and then we had different little waves. But sooner or later, Harry Redknapp came along, and we're suddenly playing Champions League football. We've reached the Holy Grail. Champions League football. Little old Tottenham Hotspur, the big star ball, halfway line. You know, that's all that, right? Holy Grail, we're there. And suddenly it's not well done Spurs, they've got onto this place. Suddenly it's Tottenham didn't win the Champions League. They lost to Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. They bottled it. And you're sat here like, what? Hang on. Like, I remember growing up when Newcastle and Leeds were knocking on the door and the press were like bending over backwards to nosh them off. Spurs start knocking on the door and we're bottlers and we're pretenders and we're chancers and we're all this type of stuff. And that's just amplified over these past few years. And I guess the point is like when you, what resonates with me, what you've said there, Lily White, when you say that like a part of you's gone forever, I think the part of me anyway that I would say is somebody born in 1985, somebody who remembers football from, like, I would say I have a strongish recollection of football from 1994 onwards. If I'm, do you know what I mean? Like, I probably have the odd picture memory of certain things, but I think I start to actually really remember football from about 1994, 1995, right? And what I've always sort of held on to is that the to dare is to do. We believe in this club and we believe in the capacity for this club to be, you know, to evoke the spirit of Billy Nick and all those glory days that, you know, are now consigned to almost archaeology, right? The team of the century, the first team to win the double that century, the first English team to win a European trophy, the first non-league side to win an FA Cup. It's glorious, glorious history, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, you know? A glorious side. The Cup Kings. FA Cup, we'll have it. It's ours. UEFA Cup, ours. We'll have it. First ever UEFA Cup, it's ours. Our name is on the trophy. But this, when we get back to the top, when we, you know, this modern football and all this lark, we start to believe, and Pochettino was the one that really did it, right? He really sort of pushed things into a place where we really believed. I really believed. I was so sure we were going to win the league. I was so, or Champions League or something. One of the big two, right? I was so sure of it. I was so sure of it. That squad, those players, all of it. And from that point, watching that all crumble and end up here, I know what you mean. Part of me has gone for and is that a belief in the club or is that a belief in Enoch? And I think it's with Enoch. That's the important thing. But the idea that I would ever trust the ownership ever again to turn us into a club that competes, no. I wouldn't. And I think that's the part of me that's gone forever, mate. That capacity to really, truly believe that we can punch it at that level until we get new owners, I think. But there's also that bit of me that's wrapped up in the sense that there's such an overwhelming body of thought, feeling, emotion against this football club's success. And I know how victim-y that sounds. I know how like self-aggrandizing that sounds, but it's true. It is just true. The year Leicester won it, the amount of players that have come out afterwards saying we couldn't stand the thought of Spurs doing it, so we basically rolled over for Leicester, is a scandal. But it is what it is, mate. 320 Music VB says the players didn't show up today. It's that simple. Everyone did their bit except for them. Jorginho says the subs were woeful. 10M Scally says only card left the players changed the manager, but I can't see that working either. K9 McGurn 1 says, I don't know, man. Bang on. That's what I should do. I should have just said that and stopped the stream, shouldn't I? Here we go. Stel Morrison says, this is good. This is what we need a bit of. Stel Morrison says, West Ham lost 2. We can't dwell on this despite a 3-week break. It'll hurt, but we need to dust ourselves off, get some steel and fight. Coys. Yes, mate. I needed that. I needed that, Stel. I was starting to waver there. Do you know what I mean? I've been losing my posterior. It's been, where has it gone? Where has it gone? I was about to file a missing bottom report with the authorities. But you know what? I might have just found it again. Thanks to that message. Capote says, what the hell was that? JKR Infinite says, how Solanke stayed on and Rishi came off, I just don't understand. He only cost 5 mil. He's bad and Azil. Richard, here we go. As a Nottingham Forest fan says, you Reds, enjoy the championship. Mick Hanscom says, I feel like the band leader from the Titanic. Gentlemen, it's been a privilege playing with you tonight. Vincent McCormack says, we huffed and we puffed, but ultimately we had nothing going forward, so we didn't blow their house down. At the same time, we always look vulnerable at the back. Yeah, that's the worrying thing. You know, every time a team comes at us, I'm like, eeh. I don't think it's a lack of effort. It's just quality. It isn't there. Durr says, Rodrigo Bentancur, still the best midfielder at the club then? I don't know. He's washed though, isn't he? He's one of my young colleagues told me an expression this week, that was chunk. That means a chopped unk, which basically means an older guy who's lost it. And I think Rodrigo Bentancur, a bit of a chunk. And I know that's a bit of a glass houses thing, isn't it? But it's not about, it's not about all this. Seven Seals says, didn't see that coming. Weird looking at our form, but I believed. Yeah. We come in pieces says, do we stick with Tudor? I don't know. If he goes, it has to be soon and give whoever it comes in 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks? 3 weeks is mental. Give whoever it is 3 weeks to train with the players. What am I going to do? What am I going to podcast about for 3 weeks? Give me some ideas, please. Do you know what I mean? What am I going to do? What can I do 2 podcasts a week about? For 3 weeks when there's no football. All I'm going to do is get different people on saying Forest wasn't very good, was it? But at least the fans rallied. He said, I hope Kudus can do something. Yeah, don't we all, mate? Cliff M says, if Romero did what was done to him, he'd be banned from English football for life. Yeah. Thatcher's legacy, that, mate. Thatcher's legacy. Snake says, too many lows supporting this club. Bevlar says, does this half a week make the list, Jack? Ooh. Mr. Wignall says, we could have been given 3 penalties and we'd still lose. Forest won in second gear. I don't agree with that. I don't think it was second gear. I think Forest fought for every ball. They played pretty hard, I would say. I know what you mean. Like we got done. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I don't think they're in second gear. You know. Oh, we won the Forest one in second gear. Alan Leslie says pathetic flat performance. Could tell after 5 minutes how it would go. What changed from midweek? Feel sorry for everyone who turned up for the bus. MT Amaris says stretching for a positive. Romero not seeing yellow means he won't have a too much ban for yellow accumulation. So at least he'll be on the pitch as this unfolds. Lloyd Kumbule says 1964 was the last time Spurs won the title. It was 1961, actually, mate. Not to be actually, but it was 61. That means 3 generations of Spurs fans have not seen their team win the title. With relegation, your fans will witness a title win in games in 60. Oh, okay, right. So you're not a Spurs fan. Great. Tom Ripley says, bring De Zerbi. What point were you even making? Oh, right. Okay. So you're saying if we get relegated, we'll see us win the league because whatever. It's funny. Do you know what? Like I did, and I see there's a little Arsenal badge now as your Avi. You know, Arsenal fans, like for the past good few years, I haven't really had any Arsenal fans come into these streams at all and say anything. Obviously, you're having a very good time of it now. And fine, fair play to you. But you're not so loud when you're not very good, are you? That's all I'd say. And I would say Spurs fans have given it Arsenal forever. We always have done. We've never been cowardly about it. We've never been too cowardly to do that. I'm just going to say that. Tom Ripley says, bring De Zerbi in. The nostalgia merchants that jerk for Poch will get us relegated. Do you know who you're talking to, Tom? And also, mate, right, if you're firing shots at Pochettino, Poch sexuals, as people would say, right? If you're firing shots at that, mate, you tell me, how is Roberto De Zerbi going to cope when we lose 2-3 games on the bounce after a transfer window and he hasn't had all the players he wants? You tell me how he's going to cope with his Linkin Park haircut. I don't want to see that in a press conference. Yeah, I mean, I was about to do like a problematic Italian. I don't think it's problematic, to be honest. Right? I think like white people can make fun of other white people's cultures, and that's sort of all right, isn't it? I don't even think you can say being British is punching down on people from Italy and stuff anymore. Like, you know, UK ain't all that. Like, I'm just trying to see, you know, like it does this thing where it refreshes and everything. And like a few people are starting to like argue in the messages. Somebody like Aaron Deb has called me a dumbass, saying it's not Tudor, dumbass. So I mean, I haven't really gone for Tudor, to be honest. You know, like, I mean, that's, come on. There's quite a lot of messages. Ooh, look at me. Toby Jones says, my God, Jack, help me see some light at the end of the tunnel. Toby, the light at the end of the tunnel is you support a football club that, regardless of everything that's thrown at it, has some heart, has some camaraderie, can mobilise in the way that it did today. That'll always be there. Come hell or high water, that'll always be there. The spirit of this great club beats, it surges through your soul, through your being. You are one with us. And for all the misery and for all the abysmalness that this club does and the humiliation, the ritual humiliation that we are served up by this football club, it also has the capacity to stand there like the man at the bottom of the podium in the meme, spraying the champagne all over his face and swearing at everybody else. Because we're Tottenham Hotspur. We'll always have that. They hate us because they know that we're actually good. They hate us because we won't just be browbeaten, and we won't be told that we're useless, and we won't be told that we shouldn't be optimistic, and we won't be told that we should be, unhappy supporting our football club. That's why they hate us. It's gone full Alex Jones today, hasn't it, this podcast? Irish Comrade says, I refuse to concede defeat. We can still survive. Yeah. Anthony McDonald says, halftime changes did us. We were okay in the first half, just lacked intensity in attack and defence. However, the subs robbed us of even the good bits. Bergvall and Udogie are just not match fit. Yeah. 100% with you on that bit. Mega Major Danger says, just accept it. We're going down. It'll probably be quite fun. Clear the decks. Moore and Gray running riot down. Well, did you see what Mikey Moore said today in his Rangers press conference? For anyone that wasn't aware of what he said he wants to stay at Rangers. We've been a zombie club for 8 years. Time for a refresh. Yeah. Tall Tart says, I thought we were okay first half, but the team changed too much from midweek. Zedia PH says, Zediath, maybe? Says the players can try their absolute best, but they have one hand tied behind their backs with today's setup. Praetorian Dwarf says, Jack, do you still use a squatty potty? God, that's some good knowledge, mate. That is going back a bit. Do I still use a squatty potty? Was thinking of getting one at some point. No, I don't still have a squatty potty. I sort of wish I did, because I did actually find it quite beneficial. I did find it good. We basically found it a bit embarrassing when people came over because they were like, what the hell was that? And then you had to explain it every time. And then we sort of put it in the shed for a while. And then it just kind of got forgotten about in the shed. And then I think it got moldy. We chucked it out. So, no, I don't have a squatty potty. Mate, that is some good, that is old school rule the roost stuff right there. That is Chairgate rule the roost, you know? Mr. Wignall1 says, last protest, 200 people. We deserve relegation. That was a stampede of approval for the owners. Oh, come on. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was people wanting their football club to do well, mate. That wasn't a stampede of approval for the owners. That was people trying to show the players that we hope they do well and we win this game. That's what it was. Come on. Don't go for people that have turned out and tried to do something good. I'm just saying, like I'm not trying to be confrontational with you about it, but I get it. We're all a bit wound up after today, but come on. Agency Panic says, I'm blaming Laguna. Inside job, going full tinfoil hat on this one. Coys. Yeah. Alex Paramore says, I just feel so sorry for us. We're the butt of all jokes. The media belittle us. The club take us for utter mugs. Then we put on that showing before the game, and that's what we're served up. London East says, I felt nothing all season. Now I feel really sad. Aaron Deb says, heartbroken. This will take me some time to get over. Snake says, you should be on the overlap instead. Oh, I couldn't do that, mate. I couldn't do that. Thank you. If you mean that as a compliment, thank you very much. I'm not built for that type of thing, man. I'm not. I'm emotions first. I can't do the Chelsea Rory sitting there trying to wind it up on purpose and stuff. I'm the one that gets wound up. I'm the one that bites. Then it's a little social media clip and all that. Flav, and look, I'm not. What is it that people say? Glazing. That's the thing. We used to say brown nosing back in the day, but like now it's glazing is the term. I'm not trying to glaze, said Flav, but he's particularly brilliant at that type of format. He's very, very good. He's good at all formats. You know, it's why his podcast is so popular and so famous, because he's a very funny, very affable, smart man, right? Please come on the pod again, Flav. I've known him for years. I could say, come on my pod now, do it. And he'll do it, you know? But no, he's good. I'm not good at that sort of stuff. Bowman does it as well, Ben Bowman, and he's good as well. You know, he's you know, he's breathing down my neck now, isn't he? Next generation coming up, right? Fucking just leave me alone, right? Do you know what I mean? Do you know how many years I've been doing this crap? Sat here going on about this. It's been like 15 years now, whatever. Me and Raj set this up. He's done one. He's grown up. Seb grew up. We got Seb in for a bit. Then he grew up. He did one. Now here I am on my own, prattling off on a microphone, right? And, you know, a few people start to listen now, and then what happens? Your Ben Bowmans and all this, you know, Kish. All these lads come up. They're inhaling everybody, and here I am, the sad old man. Now, how did that happen? When I set this up, I was in my early 20s. Not quite, mid-20s. It goes like that, doesn't it? They always say that, right? When you're young, they always say, oh, enjoy it now. Enjoy it now. You'll wake up tomorrow and then you'll be my age and you'll have all your memories and all that. And you think, shut up. Shut up, you old mug. You don't know what you're on about. I'm going to be 26 forever. Class. I'm going to be 26, go out on the lash, have a load of cigarettes and not feel anything. Have a kebab at like 2 a.m. If I have dinner, if I have a few like rice cakes past like 8 o'clock at night, I'll be up in the night, my stomach all over the shop. Goes like that. Like that. Alcohol tolerance, gone. I haven't had a cigarette in years, but last time I did, I had a puff, my head was all over the place. And I got a stinking headache the next day. Just falling to pieces, like this football club. Arshu says, I can't stand the faux solemnity of commentators on Tottenham going down. They're absolutely giddy at the prospect. Yep. Peter Doodle says, all we can do is support this club. None of this is down to the fans. We all get a break for 3 weeks. We'll come back and keep going because that's all we can do. One game at a time. Yes, Peter. Yes, Peter. Hope you've done a good doodle about that. Don't know why I said that. It's a bit aggressive, wasn't it? You know what I mean? My surname is Hussey. What am I doing? What am I doing trying to think I can mug anyone off? Oh, here we go. Andy Year says, you are deluded. You are seriously deluded. A true example of why this fan base is so toxic. How can you sit here and think any of these players are good? All right. I mean, I'm glad, Andy, that you bestow me with such power. You think I hold such sway over this fan base? All that does as a self-important podcaster is fuel my ego and, you know, make me think, God, this God complex, this main character syndrome of mine is actually right. I am the person, the puppet master, controlling everybody. Have a day off, mate. Come on. What are you talking about? You think a player is good, so you're everything that's wrong with the club. Mate, that's proper divvy talk. I'm sorry. Like, come on. Martin Reynolds says, I'm absolutely fed up with the talk from these players on the socials before every game, then zero talking on a pitch. All you will hear before the Sunderland game is how we give it our all. Yeah, mate, but like they've got a, I get like I know what you mean. I know it's frustrating, but look, it's got to be something, isn't there? Like, what else? Do you know? Like, I'm not going to lie, Martin. I would be more annoyed if, and I would be genuinely more annoyed if Xavi Simons or whoever came out, put up a picture of him with his head in his hands, and said, just ahead of this game, you know what? We are actually shit. Like, I don't mind them just saying like, we'll give it everything, whatever. It doesn't really mean anything, does it? Anyway, Harmick Voss says, we're not done yet. Be positive, peeps. Jelly Koala says, it's so obvious that it's been down to the coaching for the last 2 seasons. We allowed losing to become a habit instead of 3 strikes and the manager's out. We are the 10th richest club in the league. I offer no further comment on that, Jelly Koala, but I did choose to read it out. For ITW says, look, did you ever think you'd get to play at Lincoln City outside of the FA Cup? Look at the bright side. Yeah. People, do you know what? People are actually starting, they're all starting to like wind themselves up in the comments now. I think the more and more I've been talking, and maybe the more like casual, like non-usual Rule the Roost type listeners that are coming in, there's quite a few like angry messages and stuff coming in now toward the end, but we'll see. Flintron Gaming says we'll be okay. Good, mate. 1990 Graham says, what a stinker. Don't even know what to say. I feel numb. Thought we turned a corner. How does such a lackluster performance under these circumstances happen? Fair play to the fans who turned out. Milton Brager says, I woke up at midnight to watch the game because in Australia, the game was at 1 a.m. Monday morning now. I have a 45-minute drive to work, 13 hours straight. Spurs has made me numb to everything. In out. Like I say, just like lots of people. I'm getting fairly sort of angry. Jack Jennings says, why are you wearing a coat indoors? It's not a coat. It's like a fleece thing. It's a bit cold, right? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm allowed to wear that. I'm not here for your like sartorial feedback. All right. Some people shouting at me about the tactics, as in like stop doing this. It's like, I mean, I don't really have control over that part. Jorginho says, we got lucky with Kane, Dele, Son, Eriksson. They didn't build it. Pure luck, and that's our only chance. Beyond lucky. Vim Fuego says, meek. Jack Polini says, Michael Oliver has an agenda against Romero, which has made him biased against Spurs. With that said, the players have let us down today. We gave up in the second half after a good first half. Anthony Black says, bringing on 2 players who aren't match fit, shocking. However, still 21 points to play for. Up the Spurs. SKR says, as an onlooker, I know he's far from perfect, but Tell should have got far more minutes for you guys before Tudor. I'm sure you've all said that before. I mean, it's mad. I just don't really get it. Peter Watson says, perform drunk Shakespeare. Are you calling me Orson Welles? Is that what it is? I'm sure we've all seen the Paul Masson advert. I did this in my Spurs wipe. If you haven't, I tell you what, if you enjoy my podcasts and stuff, right? During lockdown, I went a bit mad. Mad. What won't he do? No, I just mean like, didn't we all? And I made a thing called Spurs Wipe with the help of a few good friends, writing the odd bits and pieces here and there. But yeah, mostly using my phone and my expertise. I did like a wannabe Charlie Brooker-esque wipe on Tottenham's year of 2020. You can see it on YouTube, Spurs Wipe. Have a look, and I do an Orson Welles-ish impression on there. I know it's from 2020 and it's back on that season, but maybe you can watch something about it and enjoy it. It took me so long to make. It's literally like feature film length. It took me so long to make it. I was very happy with it, given the circumstances. So, have a watch. See what you think of it. Spurs Wipe. No, Siri, I'm not asking for you. You've heard sometimes on these. It's usually when I do the preview pods. I'm supposed to be begging Patreon as well. Patreon.com/RTR pod. Sometimes when I do the Patreon previews, when you sort of just chatting to your phone. Now phones, I had a Google Pixel before. Now I've got an iPhone, and both of them still, when you're just chatting, will just start talking to you out of nowhere, and it scares the crap out of me sometimes. Toast Malone says, "Hi, Jack. We're in big trouble, mate. Feel totally numb. Wish I cared, but I just don't anymore. My love and affection for the club has been beaten out of me. We are down, barring a literal miracle." I know what you're saying, Toast, but all I'm saying is you're on a Tottenham stream an hour and a bit after our game. I don't think your love and affection's been beaten from you. Zeros and One says, "I enjoyed the Premier League, Aldo." Don't blow smoke up his arse, right? No, look at him. Ooh, I work for The Athletic now and I do podcasts with James Richardson. Pathetic. Don't blow smoke up his ass. Oh, who wants to know what's going on in the Bundesliga? Nobody does, Seb, all right? Nobody does. Just give us stuff about Harry Kane and then, stop acting like you're above it all right, mate? I'm joking, all right? That's probably quite harsh, isn't it? I've been podcasting for an hour and 20 minutes now. I should stop. What can we do? Support the club and hope we don't get relegated. That's what we do. What can you do if you've enjoyed this? Right now, if you're watching it on YouTube, drop it a like. Do it. There's loads of you watching and there's barely any likes. So you either sat here thinking, I hate this bloke, or you can't even be bothered to just click a little thumbs up that appears beneath it. Click it now. Click the like, subscribe, all that type of stuff, right? If you're listening to this, if you're listening to the audio version of this, do the same. Leave it a 5-star rating on Spotify and do that on Apple Podcasts as well. All right. Those are the two big ones. Ratings, reviews, great. Next time you're on Reddit, right? Next time you're on Reddit and you see people say, what Spurs podcast should I listen to? Don't be a sheep. Don't say View from the Lane, Fighting Cock, Extra Inch, right? Say Rule the Roost. That guy's class. He has the odd meltdown here and there, and he talks a lot of crap, and I don't really agree with anything he says, and I don't really appreciate his sartorial choices. However, listen to it, and then leave him a rating and a review, and go to patreon.com/RTR pod and listen to his pre-match press conferences, and not press conferences, self-aggrandizing, isn't it? Pre-match preview podcasts, all podcasts ad-free, all of it. Do it all. Come on, you Spurs. Whatever. If we go down, we go down. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. We're the Tottenham and we're the best. We're the Tottenham, so fuck all the rest. Good night, everybody. Have a lovely one. Who cares? There's going to be a sunshine tomorrow, and Spurs will be doing something, won't they? So whatever. Come on, you Spurs.